Welcome back to the Green Screen, the only UNT sports news show. I'm your host, Evanson Frank Love, and we have some exciting updates.
Evanson, I need to stop you, bro. You know, we do have exciting updates from all our other sports, but you know, for the first time since 1959, 66 years in the making, your North Texas Mean Green is ranked 22nd in the AP poll for the first time since. In that long, I'm too excited. I keep stumbling over my words. This is something that we've been waiting for a while. I've been here for 3 years, and I can tell you, I never expected North Texas to be ranked.
Well, you know, for the past 8 shows, I've never been interrupted for my intro, but we did have some amazing updates for you. I had to, man. And UNT, they played their last game against UAB, and of course, that's when we got the ranking afterwards.
Yes.
Tell us, how does that ranking work? How did that?
You know, it kind of, in a way, it does kind of stain because, you know, we did get ranked in the AP poll, but as of Tuesday, they did just release the CFP rankings, and even though your 9-1 Mean Green did not make that, we are on collision course with Tulane, who is sitting in the 24th seed right now and taking that 12th spot in the CFP. We are in collision course for the conference championship with them coming up at the end of the season.
Okay, let's take a trip back a little bit for a second, okay? Not too far back, but let's go against USF. That game was, if I'm correct, that was the determining factor on whether or not we would be ranked if we had won the game against USF. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, but things do happen. And as we know, you know, our sole loss is to USF earlier in this season. Navy did take down USF in their home field this past weekend. So we do have a little bit of room for improvement, and we are the only 9-1 team in the conference. And, you know, things are looking great for us right now.
You know, for people who don't understand college football rankings, let's break it down as simple as we can, because I want to get an understanding and everybody else to get an understanding of why is it that UNT got ranked? Is it because USF was taken down by Navy? And then, you know, how is it that Tulane got the ranking?
I think, personally, I feel like it's, you know, we've been getting a lot of TV time lately, you know, and yes, a lot of people might look at that as distractions, but, you know, after this UAB game this past weekend, which we will get into, we're not skipping over that, but, you know, with UNT getting ranked, this is something that is very important that we need to talk about right now.
Of course.
But with everything that's going on right now, college football has been changing. You know, we're stuck in the P4 talks. You know, they have the SEC bias when it comes down to, you know, your power rankings and all things like that, but they're not giving love to the group of 5 conferences, your American, your Sun Belt, your MAC, your SWAC, all those. But the American has been one of the toughest conferences outside of your Power 4, I would say, for the last couple years. We've seen teams like Coastal Carolina do good, not Coastal Carolina, Tulane do good. We've seen teams like East Carolina, who's been another good program, Army having a great year last year, Navy being on the rise, USF, Memphis, and USF and Memphis have been ranked in the top 25 this year in the AP polling. Navy came into DACU ranked 23rd in the coaches poll. We were able to get a win out of that. So this conference has been going, you know, been on the right track. And with North Texas being 9-1, we have the #1 offense in all of college football, averaging 45 points per game. We have the #1 turnover margin, coming in at a plus 1.4 in all of college football, and we're forced 24 turnovers this year. And Skylar Cassidy has came in to this program and changed this defense for the long run.
Yeah, wow. It's amazing accomplishments that not just UNT, but the entire conference that we're in, the American. You just named a bunch of teams, Army,
Navy,
Tulane, Navy,
like all those teams have been doing good these last couple seasons.
I know we took a look back. Let's take a look forward a little bit now. All right, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the UAB game, but I want to talk about what are the chances that UNT can make the college football playoff. Is that a potential, or is that completely out the window?
You know, I would personally say that we did get snubbed this past weekend, or this past week on Tuesday, but Tulane does have a couple P4 wins that they would say, but it's coming against teams like Northwestern, who Northwestern is, I hate to be like that type of person, but a lot of people will look at them as the laughing stock of the Big 12. Yeah. Northwestern hasn't been one of those teams that really come in and, you know, put on a show and give people a reason Let me go ahead and look up their stats real quick.
By any means are we saying that, Northwestern is easy team to beat. They're definitely a tough team. Any given Saturday, everybody knows that about football. But, I mean, as far as when we're talking about top football teams in the country, your first thought isn't Northwestern.
Yes. So, but, away from that, Tulane is a good prominent program, I would say, too, especially a good representation of the American Conference, especially the last couple of years. We've seen them have a couple good years where they have kissed the top 25. But it's just something about this Mean Green team this year that I feel like we do have an edge. But I feel like at the end of the day, the best way to do that is to prove it to them and eventually be able to beat them in that conference championship. And the way it's looking right now, with UNT being ranked in the AP top 25, Tulane's ranked in the AP top 25, and they're also that 24th seed in the CFP. If we play them in the conference championship and win it, arguably the American Conference will hold that last spot for the playoffs coming in at the 12th seed.
Well, I mean, hopefully we can get to that point. Now let's take a look back after looking forward and back. Let's take a look at the UAB game. Let's get to the nit and gritty.
This UAB game, another great game by UNT, the Mean Green, dominating from start to finish. They stomped the Dragons in Birmingham 53-24. And as John Gruden said about this offense, the Mean Green machine has scored 50-plus points in 5 games this season, leading college football in points per game, and they're tied with Indiana for most 50-point games this season. This game was led by freshman outstanding star running back Caleb Hawkins, who scored 5 times.
The phenom.
5 touchdowns in a game, broke UNT's score, that record for UNT, has scored 9 touchdowns in the last 2 games on the ground. UNT is ranked number 1 for rushing touchdowns at 35.
Wow.
He's tied for first place for most touchdowns this year with 19, and he has 16 rushing touchdowns on the year. He ran the ball 27 times, 189 carries, and his performance led him to receive his 2nd American Conference Offensive Player of the Week this year. And, Drew Mestemaker did what he did best, being the field general, the captain. He threw the ball 25 times, completed 18 passes for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns. And, Mr. 7-Eleven, who was always open, Wyatt Young, had another great game, torching the defense, 8 catches, 143 yards for a touchdown. And he's been a great deep ball threat all year, I would say. His ability to find the space off the line, and he has become a nightmare in open field for opposing defensive backs. And, Cam Dorner had another great game for 3 catches, 73 yards, and that other touchdown. But you do know we love to talk about the offense here, but we do have to give this defense some praise. Skylar Cassidy has came in here, changed this defense. The position coaches have come in here and changed this defense, and the players at that have bought into these coaches and helped change this defense. They forced a total of 4 turnovers against UAB and now lead the FBS in turnover margin, like I mentioned. And on UAB's first 3 drives in this game, UNT forced an interception, a fumble, and a turnover down, and the defense led the Mean Green to score 28 points and take a 28-0 lead midway through the second.
Wow.
And UAB wasn't able to score until that point.
Wow.
So this team has been very prominent. And I do want to highlight Evan Jackson finishing with 9 total tackles. And again, 2 big games by Trey Fields and Quentin Hammonds, who both finished with 7 total tackles. But Will Jones III played great in coverage. He had 2 of those interceptions, and David Fisher had that 3rd one.
Incredible. On the offensive side of the ball, you mentioned Caleb Hawkins. Man, that kid is electric,
phenomenal.
Right? And then alongside with Drew Mestemaker, who's been playing on fire this entire season. Him and the entire offense, man, it's incredible to watch. I love it. I'm always excited. Let me ask you a question real quick.
Okay? I got an answer for you.
Ever since the beginning of the season, UNT football, we've always been looked at the team that has the potential to play up against top opponents. And obviously, all of that potential was there against USF. We took the loss. Everybody's like, you know what? We don't think UNT can play in big games versus good teams. But at the end of the day, we rubbed that loss off our shoulders. We brushed it off, kept moving forward. We're not only winning games, we're dominating.
We're dominant. Yes.
And at this point in time, do you think that UNT football is a legit football team that can compete with all of the best?
Personally, I do feel like yes. There's obviously, I'm not trying to be biased here, But there's obviously that stepping stone that you have to get out of, and I feel like this year the team that we have right now has been kind of the stepping stone that we need for people coming in after. This team sets up great for the recruiting cycle. This team sets up great for the transfer portal coming in next year. So understanding that we're always that one little notch away from getting over to that next hump, it's there. You know, Morris took over 3 years ago, I believe, 2022, and what he's been able to do for this team and change them the way he has already, to go from where we went I believe the last time we went 5-0. We went 5-0 and then proceeded to lose the last 6 games of the season. And for them to be 9-1 this year just shows how much the players have bought into this program, how much Morris has put into this program. And, you know, him bringing in Skylar Cassidy this past season from Sam Houston State to be able to come in and change the defense, which a season ago we were like ranked in the bottom 130. I think we were second to last in total defense, and now we're up there in the 60s, 70s areas, and that's a big change. You know, people might sit there and talk mess online, talking about well, you guys only moved up to the top 60s, you're not at the top 20, you're not. That doesn't mean nothing. Being able to go from a bottom defense to somewhere in the middle is a big change, because all it takes is to have a good, decent defense, and as long as you're putting up the points, you're gonna win games.
Yeah, I feel like some people don't understand in football, you know, when you're coming and you were one of the worst teams in your conference, and to be able to change that in the matter of years, in just a couple of years at that is such an astronomical achievement. And kudos to Coach Morris. He has done an exceedingly great job at turning this program around.
Honestly.
So obviously, we played against UAB. What is next for UNT football?
So, you know, we do travel down to Houston this week. We have a 5-5 Rice team who's currently 2-4 in conference play, but we do travel down to them. And, you know, we've had those up and downs, like we mentioned last week's show. We've had those up and down games on the road, but we look at UAB, our last 2 away games, UAB and Charlotte, and we dominated. But you know, head coach Eric Morris emphasized shutting out distractions, and here's what he has to say about traveling to Houston.
So yeah, I thought we had a really good and spirited Tuesday practice today. You know, trying to get a couple people healthy right now, just, you know, a little bit banged up at this point in the season. And so there's a couple guys that we've held out the last couple days that we anticipate to play. But yeah, so it'll take a good rest of the week for us to be ready to get down on the bus. You know, we're busing down to Rice. We haven't done that since I've been, well, I take that back. We bused to Tulsa a couple years ago, but that's something, you know, we're not really accustomed to doing that. And so there's plenty of distractions. Just throw them all on top of one another. We got to do a great job avoid them and playing good football.
But they're really sneaky, I believe. You know, they're going into this game trying to ruin our season. As we know, in the last couple weeks, it's very vital with a potential CFP, a potential American Conference Championship game. And I do believe these last 2 weeks are big for Eric Morris and the Mean Green. But I do see the Mean Green jumping out early on Rice this year. I'm looking here. They're a run-heavy team. On the year, they have 2,111 rushing yards on 510 carries. But we see on 112 completions, only 970 yards. Our defense should be able to have, I would say, a field day this week. But the thing is, like Morris said in his soundbite, we have to shut out the distractions. I was during the media conference, he was saying how, you know, there's a lot of people from Houston on our team that will be having family out there, that they're busing down for the first time this year. There won't be so that's what, a 5-hour ride instead of like a 2 to 3 hour plane ride they've been taking to all these other places. They're going to be sitting there, and there's a chance for players to get stiff. We do have a lot of players coming back from injury that have been, you know, getting healed up during this week's practices. But one player we will be missing, who we were told is out for the season now, is Shane Witter, who was down with a knee injury. And it sucks because he was a senior and he was a big key to this defense. But I do expect, you know, we do have some youngins that are ready to come up and play. So this will be a big game for us on the road, and especially a statement, I would say, for the rest of the year.
First off, I'm wishing a speedy recovery on Shane Witter. Like you said, big playmaker on defense. And hopefully our Mean Green, we can stay composed, stay disciplined, go in there. hold ourselves to the standards of a top team,
that we
but
need to be.
But at the same time, don't let the noise get on the inside
Yep.
and allow us to make mistakes when we play against Rice, because this is a huge game. There's a lot of potential for Mean Green football to go out and play for the championship potentially, but that all that's all dependent on winning one game at a time. Thank you so much, Jayden, for our football update, man. But before you go, one more time, can you let them know what ranking are we, man? What are
22, and we're coming for the playoffs this year. It'll be a big thing, especially for the program. Especially through what we've had to deal with the last couple years, where it seemed like nobody wanted to be at games. They were barely getting a turnout to where we were able to get our first sold out ever at DACU. We got that this year against USF. Yes, we lost, but still, being able to see and experience that was amazing. And I hope to experience that more, especially with potentially hosting the conference championship here if the stars align right for us.
Yeah, that would be an amazing thing. And I don't think people understand what it feels like to be living through history as a Mean Green sports fan. You're seeing your entire football team just change. And it's amazing to see, and we're here to discuss it and let you know about it. But let's move on to our other sports. We do have our women's basketball team. They just played yesterday. They did lose, unfortunately. They were undefeated before the game yesterday. Our women's basketball reporter, Mason Garcia, he got the footage.
UNT suffered their first loss of the season, 60-51 to Abilene Christian. The game was a tight back-and-forth battle throughout, but UNT's shooting woes proved to be costly in the end. The Mean Green shot 1 for 20 from 3. TK Hammond had the only make.
You're not going to win too many games going 1 for 20 from 3. Apparently, they put the lid on the goal that side we were shooting on, and so somehow TK snuck one in. But that's very uncharacteristic of us. I can tell you we had a great shooting week this week in practice. We were shooting the lights out. And so to come out and shoot the way we shot today, it's uncharacteristic, but you're not going to win too many games going 1 for 20, and then you follow that up by going 60% from the free throw line. I thought we just had opportunities that both at the free throw line and from 3, clean looks that we've seen us knock down some threes this year. They didn't fall today. Definitely in front of all these kids, you don't want to drop a game, and we want to protect home court. But heck of a run that we went on to win 14 straight games at home, and I think that's the second longest home winning streak in the program's history. And so, disappointed that we lost. Definitely disappointed we lost at home. But I've said all year with this team, like we're going to figure out who we are when we hit adversity. And this is a tough stretch that we got coming up, and so to drop the first one in this tough stretch, we really are about to see what we're made of, especially with some players that are out. And so we got a chance to learn a lot about ourselves over the next couple of weeks, and no, not one game or one stretch of the season is going to define us, but everything that we're doing, everything that we put together as far as this non-conference schedule is to prepare us for conference play. And so we want to be tested. Abilene Christian, we knew was going to be a good team. They're picked to win their league, so let's not act like that's not a good team. They're picked to win their league, and they have the preseason player of the year on their team, and that's a good ball club. So congrats to them on the win.
Junior guard Micaiah Chase had her first double-double at UNT. They will look to bounce back for a tough stretch of games that starts with SMU on Saturday.
Thank you so much, Mason. It was an unfortunate loss for our women's basketball team, but we're hoping that they can bounce back just like every single one of our Mean Green sports teams have done this past fall season. Let's move on to our men's basketball team. They also suffered a loss last night, and that was against St. Mary's. St. Mary's has been a team, they've been to 13 consecutive NCAA championships, so they are a very good team, our UNT men's basketball team. They lost 49-80. Very, very unfortunate to see our men's and women's basketball team lose during the same time. We obviously wish that they would win, and hopefully I have some other unfortunate news for our men's basketball team. Our star, Will McClendon, he is out for the season. He had a season-ending knee injury against Oregon State. He was averaging 13 points per game, and he was Mean Green's leading three-point shooter. He will be missed, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery. And hopefully our men's basketball team can also bounce back from this loss and have a great rest of the season. Let's move on to our women's volleyball team. And our women's volleyball reporter, Baylee Dusuau, she's here in the studio with me. This is the second week in a row. I don't know what's going on here. I guess they just love having you at the desk now.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the energy and everything is just great. I'm happy to be back. And once again, happy to talk about volleyball.
Yeah. I heard that they finished their regular season.
Yes, they did. They finished it, they did what they could. They did what they could with what they had. Last week I was talking about Tulane. I might have been a bit harsh on them. I was like, it's Tulane. But I was right because we beat them. And yeah, we won. It was, our girls did what they needed to do. We won the match 3-1. I think we gave them that one set, honestly, most likely. But then
could have been a sweep.
It could have been a sweep. I think they put the broom away for that one. You know what I mean? They didn't want to.
Tucked it in the closet real quick.
Exactly. They didn't want to end their season too bad. They're like, here, I'll let you off easy. But then, we had that rematch against Rice, and sadly, our girls, they couldn't pull through. They didn't get swept though. They didn't get swept. They lost 3-1, so we did get one set. And it was a sad way to end the regular season, but that's okay because we got championship season.
Championships.
Yes.
Now, please break down for us. How do these championships work?
Okay, these work, everybody knows, most people know about, they focus on football, the college football bracket and stuff like that. It's very similar to that. In fact, I have a bracket that's I can break down for you guys. It's right there. So as you can see, our first match is actually gonna be tomorrow against Wichita State. And this is very interesting because Wichita actually won the championship last year. So they're not a team to take lightly. They're not new to this.
Starting off with the former champs
exactly.
right away. But if we beat them, that sends a huge sign to
Absolutely. Yeah, you bring up a great point because if we beat them, which we actually have in the regular season, we move on obviously to the second round. And as you can see on the top half of that bracket, the Rice is actually going to be going up against UTSA, and everybody knows Rice. They're number one. We sadly just faced a loss, and actually last year they were our first round match, and they took us out in that one. So we get that win against Wichita State. We move up into the second round. Rice is the favorite to win their match. We face Rice again, and hopefully that's gonna be our get back game.
Hopefully.
Our third time. You know what they say? Third time's a charm. You know what I mean? And so it's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be it's gonna be a war out there, and I hope that we can just get that and move on, obviously, to the semis. But let's take a break from us and just focus on South Florida, Charlotte, Tulsa, and Florida Atlantic. All of those teams down there are just really good, competitive. We've lost actually to every single one of them except Tulsa. So that's going to be a big competition there. My prediction, I think the Florida teams are going to take it. I think the Florida teams are going to take their first match. They're going to move on to the quarters, and that one's going to be tough. But my money's on South Florida. All of their teams have been having a good year, so they're probably going to continue that, taking on that match. And then it's going to be Florida against Florida. South Florida's going to win, and then hypothetically, I'm going to speak it into existence. We're going to meet up with them in the semis. South Florida against UNT again. Once again, that's the team that we lost to. South Florida, they've been having a great year. It's just going to be a bloodbath out there, and that champion could honestly be anybody. This is a really great bracket, and this whole championship is going to be something that's going to be very fun to tune into.
Wow, way to break everything down for us, because looking at that bracket, I was a little confused myself, and I wouldn't have known what teams to look out for.
Absolutely.
We got a little bit of a special there for a second. Baylee Dusuau's bold prediction for the women's volleyball tournament.
Yes.
UNT versus South Florida?
Yes, that's my prediction. That's going to be the final.
First, we have to get through.
We got to get through, Wichita State,
Wichita.
The reigning champion that we beat in the regular, though.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll have something to prove, but I think we got that.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like all those losses that we took to Rice,
yes,
we were kind of setting it up for that setup against Rice after we beat Wichita State, and a big and final dramatic last stand beating Rice, like you just said. Do you have any standouts for the women's volleyball team after the end of the regular season?
Okay, yeah, totally. That's a great question. Let's talk about consistency. If we're going to be talking about consistency on the court throughout their whole season, preseason to regular season, my standout This year is gonna have to be my girl Alexa Washington. We don't have any graphic for her, but you guys should know her name because she's been up there before. She's been consistent. She's had 2 triple doubles this season, multiple double doubles, and she's the team captain who hasn't transferred. She's been with UNT all 4 years for her collegiate career, and I mean that's obviously paid off just because of her leadership, her passion on that court, and her ability to lead this team. With this new coach who's obviously been curating this team into something that we haven't seen in a while from UNT Volleyball. And so she's just a huge standout for me this year.
Yeah, shout out Alexa Washington.
Alexa Washington,
Also,
guys.
shout out the entire UNT women's volleyball team, man. They've been playing phenomenal, and they are headed into, the playoff brackets. And we're going to be cheering them on every step of the way. Thank you so much for the update, Baylee.
No problem.
And we've had a lot of exciting updates for all of our Mean Green sports teams. Of course, the most exciting was football. Our women's and men's basketball, they suffered losses. That's okay. They're going to bounce back. They're going to be better and hopefully, end up in the NCAA tournament. That'd be very exciting to see. And obviously, we just got through our women's volleyball team who are now heading into the playoffs. And everybody, please cheer on our Mean Green sports. We have so much history being changed and rewritten here in Denton, Texas. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching the Green Screen, the only UNT sports news show. Please remember, we do have an Instagram. We do update it. It's called UNT Green Screen. And then also, please watch every episode that we drop every Thursday on YouTube. That'll be on the Denton Community Television YouTube channel. Check us out. I've been your host, Evanson Frank Love, and we won't see you next Thursday because it is Thanksgiving break. Enjoy the holidays, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.